Unfortunately, it turned out to be very naive. We could not have been more wrong. And this miscalculation was the greatest failure of American foreign policy since the 1930s.
Today, we're diving into a captivating tale that revolves around American maritime shipping and a little-known law that brought it to a standstill. Join us as we unveil the secret law that stopped American maritime shipping. Maritime shipping has played a crucial role in shaping the economic growth and prosperity of nations throughout history. In the case of the United States, it was a lifeline connecting the nation with distant lands and enabling trade on a global scale. However, there was a time when a secret law quietly shifted the course of American maritime shipping, leaving a lasting impact on the industry. Act 1. Setting the stage. To understand the gravity of the situation, we need to travel back in time to the early 20th century. The United States had emerged as an economic powerhouse, and its maritime shipping industry was booming. American ships traversed the oceans, carrying goods and building connections with the rest of the world. However, during World War I, a series of events unfolded that would forever change the landscape of American maritime shipping. In 1914, as war engulfed Europe, shipping routes became perilous, and American ships faced numerous threats, including U-boat attacks. The outbreak of war disrupted global trade, cutting off traditional shipping routes and presenting significant challenges to American merchants and shippers. The conflict created a dangerous environment for maritime transportation, as U-boats, the German submarines, pose a threat to ships in the Atlantic Ocean. The U-boat attacks were devastating, causing considerable loss of life and cargo. American ships were not exempt from these attacks, and the need for a solution became increasingly urgent. The United States had to find a way to ensure the safe passage of its goods and personnel during this tumultuous time. In response to the growing crisis, the US government took decisive action and established the Emergency Fleet Corporation, EFC, in 1917. The primary objective of the EFC was to address the shipping challenges faced by the nation and support the war effort. Under the leadership of the EFC, a massive shipbuilding program was initiated. The goal was to construct a vast fleet of merchant ships that could navigate the treacherous waters, transport troops and supplies, and sustain the nation's global trade. Act 2. The Emergency Fleet Corporation. To counter the challenges posed by wartime shipping disruptions, the US government established the Emergency Fleet Corporation, EFC, in 1917. The EFC's primary objective was to construct a vast fleet of merchant ships to ensure the transportation of troops, supplies, and goods. The EFC embarked on an ambitious shipbuilding program, resulting in the creation of a massive fleet that would not only serve immediate wartime needs, but also contribute to America's long-term shipping capacity. The EFC embarked on an ambitious shipbuilding program, driven by the urgent need to support the war effort. Shipyards across the country were mobilized, and a massive construction campaign was launched. The goal was to rapidly expand the American merchant marine and strengthen the nation's ability to sustain overseas operations. The EFC implemented groundbreaking assembly line methods and standardized ship designs to expedite construction. This approach significantly reduced the time and cost required to build merchant ships. The construction process became more efficient, enabling the EFC to meet the escalating demand for ships. Shipbuilders and workers from various trades flocked to the shipyards, responding to the call for skilled labor. The workforce grew exponentially, with men and women laboring tirelessly to construct vessels that would carry vital supplies and troops across the ocean. Act 3. The Jones Act of 1920. As World War I came to an end, a new law came into effect that would drastically reshape American maritime shipping, the Jones Act of 1920. Named after its sponsor, Senator Wesley Jones, this legislation imposed strict regulations on maritime commerce within the United States. The Jones Act had three main provisions. First, it mandated that all goods transported between US ports must be carried on American-built, American-owned, and American-operated ships. Second, it required that these ships be crewed by American citizens. And finally, it stipulated that the ships must be registered under the US flag. The Jones Act was seen as a measure to ensure the continued viability of the American merchant marine. By requiring that goods transported between US ports be carried exclusively on American-built, American-owned, and American-operated ships, the law aimed to maintain a strong domestic shipping industry. The Act also emphasized national security by mandating that these ships be crewed by American citizens. This provision sought to safeguard the country's maritime capabilities during times of conflict or emergency, ensuring that skilled American seafarers would be readily available. Furthermore, the Jones Act stipulated that these ships must be registered under the US flag. This provision aimed to maintain a distinct identity for American vessels and promote national pride in the maritime industry. However, while the Jones Act was introduced with the intention of protecting and bolstering American maritime shipping, it inadvertently set the stage for unintended consequences that would impact the industry in the years to come. Act 4. The Unintended Consequences. On the surface, the Jones Act aimed to protect American shipping interests, maintain a strong merchant marine, and preserve national security. However, over time, unintended consequences began to emerge, which ultimately impacted the industry. One major consequence was the increased cost of transportation. The limited number of American-built ships led to higher construction and maintenance expenses, which were eventually passed on to consumers. This made American maritime shipping less competitive compared to foreign carriers. One major consequence was the increased cost of transportation. The limited number of American-built ships led to higher construction and maintenance expenses, which were eventually passed on to consumers. This made American maritime shipping less competitive compared to foreign carriers. As a result, many American businesses, particularly those involved in international trade, faced difficulties. They encountered higher shipping costs, which affected their ability to remain competitive in global markets. It became more cost-effective for some companies to utilize foreign vessels or rely on foreign shipping services instead. The restrictions imposed by the Jones Act also limited options for transporting goods between US ports. This lack of flexibility and competition hindered efficiency in the shipping industry. It became increasingly challenging to find available American vessels for certain routes or to secure timely shipping services, which affected the reliability and timeliness of deliveries. Act 5. Effect on trade and economy. The higher costs and limited availability of American ships had a profound impact on trade and the economy as a whole. American exporters found it increasingly challenging to compete in global markets, while importers faced higher costs when bringing goods into the country. Additionally, the Jones Act restricted the use of foreign vessels in domestic trade, effectively reducing options for transporting goods. This further hampered trade efficiency, negatively affecting various industries dependent on maritime shipping. This decline in market competitiveness affected various industries, including agriculture, manufacturing, and energy. American farmers struggled to sell their produce abroad, manufacturers faced hurdles in exporting their goods, and energy companies found it harder to compete in global markets. The Jones Act inadvertently hindered their ability to reach customers effectively and profitably. Conversely, the higher costs of maritime shipping under the Jones Act had consequences for American importers. Companies that relied on imported goods such as raw materials, components, and consumer products faced increased costs. These additional expenses were ultimately passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices, impacting their purchasing power and potentially reducing overall consumption. The impact on consumers was not limited to higher prices. The restricted availability of American ships for certain routes, combined with limited competition, also affected the reliability and timeliness of deliveries. This in turn could lead to supply chain disruptions and logistical challenges for businesses relying on imported goods. Act 6. Modern Perspectives. The Jones Act continues to be a subject of debate in contemporary times. Supporters argue that it safeguards American jobs, strengthens national defense, and maintains a robust domestic maritime industry. On the other hand, critics contend that it stifles competition, raises costs for consumers, and limits economic growth. Efforts to reform or repeal the Jones Act have been proposed over the years, but its future remains uncertain. As the maritime shipping industry evolves and global trade dynamics shift, the impact and relevance of this law continue to be examined. Some opponents of the Jones Act propose reforms or modifications to strike a balance between protectionism and competitiveness. They suggest relaxing certain provisions of the law, such as allowing for greater use of foreign-built ships in domestic trade, or revisiting the crewing requirements to address labour market challenges. These proponents believe that such reforms could enhance efficiency and reduce costs without compromising national security. And there you have it, the secret law that stopped American maritime shipping. The Jones Act of 1920, with its noble intentions, unintentionally transformed the industry, leading to unintended consequences that persist to this day. Join us next time as we delve into more intriguing stories from history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating content. Until then, keep exploring the secrets that shape our world.